Welcome. Hello. It's time for Block Talk. We're on Bitcoin block 430310. Yeah, we're about halfway through this difficulty change, doing some pretty good stuff. We actually had a spike in hash rate recently, so that's pretty exciting. It means some new miners coming on the market. Mempool is looking good, nice and low, not too much clogging of the pipes. We did have a little spike here on September 16th, so I imagine that was payday for a lot of people. But yeah, doing good. We got some awesome sponsors to talk about. Syscoin, who are doing a marketplace based on a blockchain. These guys are actually merged mined with Bitcoin. And yeah, they built this whole interface of listing items for sale, having aliases, arbitration, just a lot of features that would really help them kind of step into like eBay's kind of realm of transactions. It'll be really cool to see some more adoption, guys. Check them out today at syscoin.org. Get the wallet. Also sponsored by Bittrex. Yeah, Bittrex is an altcoin exchange, and I gotta say they put up with a lot of shit in the altcoin space, and no one has done a better job at being, that trusted exchange. Never been hacked, representing the community well on Capitol Hill. Some recent news for them: they actually just posted a bunch of delistings due to low volume. So you guys, if you see any of your favorite altcoins on this page on bittrex.com/status, you scroll all the way bottom, you'll see there's I think about 30 coins on here that need to generate about $100 in volume a day in order to stay listed, and that translates to like 30 cents in fees. So somebody's got to be interested in these coins, guys. Check them out if you really want to support them. But we got some awesome coins in the show that you definitely should be looking at supporting. So if you guys have any questions, I'll correct it. All right, yeah, let's get on to the main event and introduce some of our awesome guests. So first off, hi, I'm Alex, and if I get all laggy, please let me know in the chat, guys. But we got some even more important people to hear from. First off, we have Shaban from Spells of Genesis.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Thanks for having us. We'll get more into exactly what Spells of Genesis are in a sec, but first we got to introduce our second guest, Robert Ross from FoldingCoin.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Happy to have you. And finally, we have the one and only Christain, MandelDuck.
Hey guys, nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us as well. Yeah, really looking forward to hear more about it. And as usual, we have our live audience sipping away on some beers bought with Bitcoin. So I'll post the address in the chat if you guys want to buy them as beer, $3 Canadian. But yeah, let's see how thirsty everyone gets. So let's dive right into it. Come on down, Shaban, and tell us about Spells of Genesis. What exactly is it?
So Spells of Genesis is a game, mobile, that will be released on mobile and on the web. That's where all assets, not all, but most of the game's assets are registered on the blockchain, giving the user true ownership of digital asset. And that's very new, because on a physical game, if you look at a card game, trading card game, when you purchase a card pack, you own the card that you purchase. If you purchase a card on Hearthstone, you don't own anything. You own some card in a certain account, but your account can be disabled. The project can be stopped anytime, so you don't really own them. Spells of Genesis is an arcade card game where you really own, and this ownership is registered on the blockchain. So once you purchase a blockchain card, you're free to give it, to share it, to trade it, the same way you could do with a physical card. And the blockchain allows that and gives the user a real, true ownership. And that's really, really exciting.
Oh, I agree. So I guess maybe just to grab a couple technical details, these are counterparty assets that have been, so counterparty is Bitcoin that has been like colored, I guess. So these are tokens that used to be Bitcoin. Now they're something else on the Bitcoin chain, but now they're bit crystals, is what you're saying?
So BitCrystals is the game currency. So we did crowdfunding 1 year ago, and we sold the game currency. And with that currency, you can basically purchase everything in the game. And from this currency, you can purchase blockchain cards that are counterparty assets. And counterparty assets works on the Bitcoin blockchain, like colored coin, as you said. So when you send like a dragon to a friend or to the market, you basically initiate a Bitcoin transaction. And on that transaction, the information about the asset you're transacting is written on the blockchain. So you have to pay the fee, the Bitcoin market fee on the Bitcoin blockchain the same way, but you're not sending only a Bitcoin, but you're sending something that has another value, like a dragon or a Satoshi card or whatever game asset attached to it. Are you on the SOGBazaar.com right now?
Jackie, you live?
Oh, my bad. I was muted. Yeah, no, I had the screen pulled up, SOGBazaar.com/cards. You can see a couple of the cards. Yeah, and these are pretty cool. So not only do you have like the physical, well, not physical, the card data of what card it is, you also have, I guess, some other things like health and hit points and other attributes.
Yeah, so you can maybe try you can try the game online. So if you go to spellsofgenesis.com, it is easy to understand. But each card has specific attributes: attack speed and attack speed and health. And it's a mix between a card game and a pool game, arcade pool game, or bubble shooter. So you have some enemies that pops in the playfield, and you have to hit them. You have to throw an orb, a ball to them, and you have to multiple the hits in order to deal a maximum of damage. So each card has different skills. So some hit hard, some have specific spells. And it creates an infinite game, different game possibility with the card, because you can have spells that really change the way things happen on the playfield. So this way, we are continuously creating content like new cards, new level, and in the future, new skills. All that's recorded forever on the blockchain, if I may say. And even more than the game itself, I believe that there is a collection aspect, that since they're the first game asset registered on the blockchain, maybe in 100 years, even if the game is changed, doesn't exist anymore, the asset will be still there. Maybe they will be exposed on a museum or whatever. But also other game in the future might use the same assets, share the asset the same way, like Sarutobi, for example, share the Satoshi card asset. So the asset can be also cross-usable in other game, like MandelDuck did with Sarutobi, for example.
Oh, what a great segue into our next guest. Let's talk to Christain Moss of MandelDuck, and you have some interesting games, I guess, to let us know about.
Yeah. So I got started. I made a very simple kind of arcade game called Saratobi, which was a simple iPhone app, but I was very interested in integrating Bitcoin into it. So when I released it on the App Store, players could play the game, and as they played, they get tipped in Bitcoin. So that was pretty cool for a while. People still play the game now. Every month, the game will pay out the people who played the most Bitcoin. I'm interested in Bitcoin, but since I saw Spells of Genesis, and I saw that Spells of Genesis cards were actually blockchain cards, I realized that, hey, I could use these cards in my game. It's permissionless. I don't have to ask Spells of Genesis permission. I can just read the blockchain, and if a user has this card, they can use it as a power-up in my game. So I added some Spells of Genesis. Actually, I think my game was the first use of Spells of Genesis cards before Spells of Genesis, technically. You could use the cards, which is pretty interesting, I thought, And yeah, so now I'm really interested in exploring this concept of blockchain game items, the idea that you actually own a game item and you can use that game item in another game. And yeah, that's what I'm exploring. My latest app at the moment is a geocaching app, like Pokemon Go, but with counterparty assets. So you can actually geocache Bitcoin and you can geocache Spells of Genesis cards. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got to say I've heard that concept before of geocoin, but it's nice to see the same technology applied to Bitcoin assets and everything. And yeah, you've actually so you have these two apps in the App Store, but you had an interesting run-in with Apple, didn't you? Where they were concerned, I guess, about legalness or something.
Well, when I first got into Bitcoin, it was around about 2013, and Apple had banned all the Bitcoin wallets from the App Store. And I was an iOS developer, and I was very good at getting apps past Apple. So it was kind of what I used to submit like about 10 apps a week or something for clients. So I reckon I could get a wallet through. So my first Bitcoin app was a wallet called Bitty. It's no longer on the App Store, but that got through. And I thought, okay, I'll try and get a game through that used Bitcoin. And that got through. And about a week later, it got taken off the App Store, and I got an angry phone call from Apple. Kind of, I think they were a bit, I think they're not familiar with the concept, and they're very cautious. But I think Apple generally, speaking to them, they get more accustomed to the idea. And once they understand it, they're opening up a little bit more. I think at the moment they have an issue with altcoins. There's been a lot of news recently.
Very specific altcoins. Wallet. Yeah.
Apple seem to know. Well, they have a list of approved currencies, which are, I think at the moment are Ethereum, the Bitcoin, Dogecoin, DAO token, and Litecoin are the ones they're approving at the moment. So that's their wisdom. I don't know how they got to that. And counterparty is interesting because anybody can make a coin. So and you don't make a coin on counterparty, you make a token. So a token can be a currency, but it can also be a game item. And it's going to be interesting going forward what Apple's policy will be on that.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of tokens and currencies built on counterparty, we have probably one of the best tokens you can mine, FoldingCoin. Hey, so we have Robert Ross of FoldingCoin. Hey, Rob.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks for coming on the show, and please tell us more about FoldingCoin and kind of how it all started.
Sure. Sorry, I think I have a little bit of a delay. So basically what FoldingCoin is FoldingCoin is a token on counterparty that you earn by joining the Folding at Home project, which for those who don't know what the Folding at Home project is, it started in October 2000 by Stanford University. And basically, it was a distributed computing platform long before Bitcoin. It's been around for a long time. And it uses your spare computer cycles to crunch these algorithms to try and help find cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, and other viral diseases. And so people have been contributing to this for years and years and years. And how we thought up a FoldingCoin was me and a group of miners who we used to do Bitcoin mining, and then we changed to altcoin mining. And then once the script ASICs came out, there was nothing to do with the graphics cards anymore. We're like, what can we do with all of our graphics cards we have? And we thought of this idea. Allow these old school miners who still have these tons and tons of GPUs that are just collecting dust at this point to contribute to Folding at Home, and we'll issue a token for them doing that. Now, it's not a blockchain like a traditional altcoin, like everybody's been talking about. It's a token that's built on counterparty, so it's very easy for us to distribute. And we took it one step further. The real value of our platform has now come to the fact that we can distribute any counterparty tokens on our platform. So we've had quite a few partners. Spells of Genesis is still currently a partner, and they've done 3 different token distributions on our platform. They had the FD card, which was the very first Spells of Genesis card that was distributed on our platform. Only 300 were in existence, and all 300 you had to be folding to earn. Same with Bit Crystals. Before they had their crowd sale, they gave a small amount away just as a promotional giveaway to every folder. So then folders get to see, oh, what's this Bit Crystals thing? And now they're giving away Magic FLDC, which nobody knows what it is. Shaban won't tell us the secret, but it's a it's a token that's going to be used in the Spells of Genesis game. So really what our platform allows you to do is it allows you as a project to distribute your token on our platform for an extended period of time or for a promotional period of time to help not only promote your project, but at the same time allow these miners to be putting their hashes towards something more beneficial to humanity, rather than some blockchain that's might die. You know, we all see altcoins come and go, and I'm not saying that all altcoins are bad. I'm just saying that your GPUs, rather than hashing for a blockchain, they could be helping to solve and find cures for cancer. So that's it in a nutshell. I think you're on.
And we got some more guests in our live audience there. Oh. Got some more guests in our live audience here. You guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Hello, hello. Okay. So we actually got a question too for Christain on MandelDuck. So I know this was an issue in Pokemon Go. Andrew Wagner managed to figure out GPS spoofing, and I know it's even an issue. So how have you solved, I guess, the location spoofing with your game?
Yeah, so I think this is an issue which is, I think it's one of the reasons why people didn't make a Bitcoin geocaching app before. I think some people did make some before, but it was a big problem. And it is a big problem, I'm not going to lie. If Niantic can't stop GPS spoofing, then I don't have much chance either. With Pokemon, obviously, it's not really worth anything because, you know, they come out of nowhere. But with tokens and Bitcoin, it is a problem. So we generally deal with it. There's typical kind of, there's tracking. So if somebody picks up a Bitcoin or token in China, then 10 minutes later they pick one in New York, you can assume that they've probably spoofed their GPS, things like that. But when the user drops Bitcoin or a token, they can add a question, like a location-based question. So lots of people will drop tokens in like a bar. Some restaurants, for example, might drop a token to get customers. And in order to collect that token, you have to answer a question, which might be, you know, what's the Wi-Fi password here, or what's written on the wall here, things like that. So it's not perfect, but we find that people have actually been quite creative with it. You know, so people, you know, it gamifies it a little bit. People can, you know, you have to solve the riddle almost.
No, that's a really
dealing with it.
It's a really elegant way of dealing with the problem. You know, like don't you know need to do any sort of obscure trust mechanism or verify people's phones or any algorithms. Just put a simple question on it. Yeah.
So like I think so. The app we're talking about is called Takara, and it's only on the iPhone at the moment. It's coming out on Android soon, but we don't actually store any user accounts. So there's no email or password. So people, you know, anybody can download the app and drop and pick up a token. So yeah, it's really pretty much secured using, you know, the location-based question. And in the early days, for Bitcoin, we made it optional to add a question, and it was fine actually. Not many people spoofed it, and the people who did spoof it, kind of the system detected that. But recently, since Pokemon Go has inspired hackers and spoofers, and it's taken it to a new level. It's made it that much easier. So at the moment, adding questions for Bitcoin is enforced, but adding tokens, some tokens might not have any value, so it's optional for the user. If they want to drop a high value token, they can add a question to secure it. If not, they can, you know, they have the option not to.
Cool. Well, let's see. I was looking at your card here, the Saratobi card on the SOG Bazaar, and it seems to be one of the only ones that's sold out. So I find that I guess you say it's a power up in your game right now, so that might be some of the reason for the demand for this one, other than the monkey is ridiculously cute.
There are other ways to get it. So I think on the Counterparty decks, there's probably a few orders, and you can also download the Takara app and try and see if there's a Saratobi card dropped in your area. So you can geocache them. But I'll be dropping some more. The world's a big place at the moment, so chances are if you download the app, there might not be one in your area, but I'm working on spreading a lot more around the world.
It might be worth it to get an Uber and, you know, or buy a plane ticket and see if you can grab one of these. Who knows? Now, Shaban, do you think you can tell me about the... Oh. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, some people in Japan who played Takara, there was a Takara campaign where the prize was about $15,000 worth of Counterparty tokens. And people have been booking planes and taking bullet trains. It was a race in order to get the token. So yeah, people are doing that, interesting enough.
Oh, that's amazing. So I guess to talk about maybe some of the more valuable cards, Shaban, maybe you can tell us about like the artwork and like the story behind some of your favorite cards, maybe.
Sure. Spells of Genesis is not just a game that uses blockchain. It's a game that is born with blockchain. So it's not about just using, but it's also a part of the story. So as you may have seen, the cards that we issue are related to the community and the Bitcoin and blockchain story. So the rarest card is Satoshi card. So of course Satoshi is famous in the community, and a lot of people don't know all the story of blockchain, and there is a lot of things happening, and designing characters that are symbolically related to what's happening. For example, I quoted Satoshi, but we also have the Genesis block card. We have the Battle for Block Size card. That was an interesting story, because we released the Battle for Block Size card, and I posted it on Reddit, and I got shadow banned for posting the illustration. It was not promoting anything; it was just illustrating what's happening. But I got banned for posting this picture. So it's interesting because it shows how intense the things are, how emotional the things are on the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I want to give that to the players, to people who don't know anything about blockchain. They can identify, they can symbolically enter this very fantastic world. And also, I was asked sometime another funny story is the DAO card. So we did a DAO Colossus as a card, and on the card's lore we wrote that all the energy coming from the people make the DAO invincible. Colossus of the Invincible. And the day after we released the card, the hack was revealed. So it was pretty interesting. Story. And also we illustrated the mongox, the stealing of mongox, for example, symbolically. Some people asked, this is a very sad story, so why do you make a card of that? And I will say, yeah, it's a sad story, and we want to illustrate everything that's happening. All these events are important, so we symbolize them. And it's not because we are happy of these events occurring, but it's fantastic from a story point of view. All these bad guys, the good guys, the bad guys, that make a fantastic universe for Spells of Genesis.
Yeah, I think I see my favorite card here that I'm going to have to pick up is the Bear Whale, which I think was the summer of 2014. It was on this downtrend from $1,200 that someone on Bitstamp placed an order. I think it was 30,000 Bitcoins as a sell, and it was holding the entire market down, but like it was getting chomped away. And I think it was within like 2 hours, all that Bitcoin was bought, the entire wall. So that was as the Bear Whale. So kind of cool to see that immortalized in a card now.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, we want these cards to be part of the history in 100 years, because we believe blockchain will continue for a very long time. So all these card people will just look at them and remember the story or what happened at this very beginning of the blockchain.
So what you're saying is there's definitely going to have to be a Block Talk card very soon.
yeah. We're doing some partnership with a lot of projects.
Cool. Well, speaking of partnered projects, this is a very interesting card here. I hope I grabbed the right one. The FD card, which I believe is the FoldingCoin card.
Yeah.
Robert, do you think you can tell us more about this card?
Yeah, so back when me and James, our original lead developer, back when we came up with the idea of merge folding, where we could distribute more counterparty tokens on our platform rather than just our own, this is about the time that Spells of Genesis was just starting to come into the scene, and they were just starting to announce like what they were doing and how they were coming about it. And Shaban was kind enough to give me his time for us to kind of talk about the idea of him distributing a card on our platform. And they were kind enough to pay one of their illustrators to create this card for us, and I'm sure that was a lot of work on his end. And they distributed the very first SOG card on our platform. So that was a really, really cool thing for us to have that partnership with them on that. And funny thing is when FD card and all the other cards for Spells of Genesis started being actively traded on the DEX, people who were folding for FoldingCoin during the time of the FD card actually had more value in their FD card than they did in FLDC. So a lot of people were really, really excited that they were able to get a valuable SOG card for giving back to the world by helping to find cures for cancer and Alzheimer's and other things. Yeah, so that's basically the story of FD card. We're really proud that we're immortalized in the SOG game as the very first card. We hang our hat on that. So, well, at least first card distributed. I don't know if it was the first card thought up of. But yeah, it was really exciting, and it really gave a great example of not only the value of SOG and owning your own cards and how cool they are, but also it really showed the value in our platform on how you as a company or as a project can distribute your tokens on our platform very easily to hundreds of users.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool way to incentivize the program even more by having, I guess, lottery kind of giveaways is really very similar.
Yeah,
so
I think it's pretty cool with counterparting Bitcoin that you can actually fold protein and get a game item out of that. You know, so I think that's something that you couldn't really do before. You couldn't. It's just if you think about it. And,
oh yeah. Well, that's why we chose Counterparty, because we don't have a blockchain to maintain. So our focus can be purely on our platform of trying to get more folders to join the Folding at Home network. And Stanford, they've been running Folding at Home for 16 years. So they take care of all the folding proteins. Counterparty takes care of the tokens. Bitcoin takes care of the blockchain, and we take care of all the rest.
That's definitely an interesting pitch then. So is that, I guess, one of the main benefits you have over something like CureCoin or even GridCoin, where they're kind of plugged into the BOINC network?
Yeah, because how GridCoin, I don't know much of how their system works, but we're always in communication with the CureCoin guys. And to lay anything to rest, we're not enemies with the CureCoin guys. They're great. They just have a different approach of trying to get Folding at Home users, and they've done a fantastic job. We did the Counterparty route because they still have to maintain their own blockchain. And I think something like, and don't quote me on this, but I think it's something around 10 or less percent go to the SHA-256 miners of CureCoin, because CureCoin uses a SHA-256 chain. So that way people who bought like BFLs or some other, you know, SHA-256 ASIC miners that aren't being used for Bitcoin anymore, they can easily maintain the CureCoin blockchain. But still, that energy, we see it as, you know, that's more GPUs that can be put towards the network, and more rewards that can go directly to the GPUs. So a small percentage of theirs goes to hashing and paying for their blockchain. As for 100% of ours goes directly to the folders. Also, since we are on Counterparty, we have that added benefit of being able to do partnerships with like Spells of Genesis and distribute their token on our platform with real, I mean, almost no effort now that the platform's been built by us. There's almost no effort to just distribute any Counterparty token on there. And that's through, to go ahead and cite who that is, that's through the Tokenly asset distributor. So Tokenly also runs our asset distributor. So we use a lot of other people's work and put it all together to make ours happen.
And you get to have the benefit of having that the same address as Bitcoin, which you know, as unintelligible as that can sometimes seem, to be able to share that is definitely very powerful in itself.
Oh yeah, and the reason why we actually did that, because CureCoin, what you have to do is you'll look on the CureCoin team, and I can actually I can share my screen. Oh, I'm not able to share my screen, am I? That's okay. I'll just explain it. So with CureCoin, you can have just a regular username like MandelDuck. You can just have that as your username, but you also have to sign up for their like as the same username on their mining pool, and that's how they authenticate you. We don't need an authentication process. That's why we chose to have people add Bitcoin addresses directly to their folding name, because we don't have to go through any sort of authorization or any sort of like registration thing, because as long as it's your Bitcoin address, you directly are going to get the rewards. And that was also, we had to do that because Folding at Home, they stopped doing any sort of like sharing user information because they ran into a bunch of liabilities because they're a non-for-profit. And I think when I was talking to their professor over there, they had some sort of issues with it a couple years ago. So they just stopped doing any sort of sharing of personal information, and they don't allow third parties to pull personal information from users at Folding at Home. So without the need of pulling their information, we just put the Bitcoin address on there, and that's all we really need. So that's brilliant how Bitcoin can work, can double as a way to authenticate somebody.
That's interesting. A clever little hack for you guys. So not too much concern, I guess, for Folding at Home going away anytime soon. Like that is kind of the centralized point in the system.
That is something that comes up. People just like Spells of Genesis, they share this. I wouldn't necessarily call it a flaw, but it is just kind of the nature of Counterparty. Spells of Genesis, FoldingCoin, they are centralized coins, and we make that very clear in our white paper. But also, once I give you the FoldingCoin, like if you have 10,000 FLDC, I can't just take that from you. But like we do hold the undistributed FoldingCoin, just like Shaban, they're able to create the assets and hold the cards. That's just kind of the nature of Counterparty. You know, you get rid of the overhead of having to maintain your own blockchain. You get rid of the overhead of having to find core developers to make sure everything is secure and not getting hacked. You don't need miners or anything like that, but you do need a trusted central figure. You know, that's why me and Yona, he's the communication guy over at FoldingCoin, and you see other people like Shaban, other Counterparty projects, where counterparty projects like to put faces to their projects to kind of build trust, because FoldingCoin, Spells of Genesis, Storage, we all have to build a real good trust within the community because they are trusting us to be the centralized figure of a centralized token.
Yeah, that's very true. We had that kind of on the show with Sean. We asked a lot of questions about the total supply of storage coin, and since on the show he announced they were putting out a transparency report. I think I have that somewhere. I'll tweet it out. But they say exactly what the plan is for every single coin. It kind of allows for a lot of more trust to be built. But yeah, you still need trust in these systems when you're dealing with people who want to build companies on top of these asset systems. So I think you guys are probably doing the best you can in terms of it. In terms of, I guess, the future, so like Gridcoin, they're a proof of stake currency. I think it's like 5% interest, but they allow you to pick several projects on the BOINC. Like they have a lot of different options for not just folding, but also like examining star data or other random projects that require computation.
Absolutely.
Do you guys have any plans for anything other than folding?
So that is another question I get a lot, and here is the answer that I usually give. So the two biggest, besides Bitcoin, pretend Bitcoin doesn't exist, the two largest distributed computing platforms on Earth are Folding at Home by Stanford and BOINC by Berkeley. And BOINC actually started, a lot of people, when they say, what's Folding at Home, I say, well, have you ever heard of SETI? And usually people say, oh, yeah, I heard of SETI. SETI is like the original distributed computing platform. Like I'm pretty sure it's the very first one, but it was in 96, I think, 1996, and that was trying to find aliens. From that evolved to BOINC. Yeah, and my response to that is I'd rather find the cure for cancer before aliens. We'll get to aliens next. Let's get cancer solved first. But no, that developed into BOINC, and BOINC is fantastic. You're right. If you are some sort of scientific researcher and you need a bunch of computing power, you go ahead and open a project on BOINC, and bam, you're going. And then people just contribute to the project as they want. There's pros and cons to that. The pros to the BOINC platform is any research developer can go ahead and just throw their project on there. The con is just like, I'll use altcoins as an example. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of altcoins. The ones that aren't as popular aren't really getting developed as well. They don't necessarily have the brightest minds behind them. As for Folding at Home, they have one purpose. They have one sole mission, and that is to help fold proteins to find cures for viral diseases. They have an incredible staff over there. They have incredible college kids who work on the program all the time. Their professors got credentials out the wazoo. They just all around when we originally developed FoldingCoin, we actually thought about going into the BOINC direction at first. We chose to go with Folding at Home because just from our research, not to take too much away from BOINC, but from our research, it seems like Stanford really has the better platform. It's a lot more stable, and they get a lot more research done. Not taking anything away from like World Community Grid on BOINC or anything like that. But then also to go back to your question of can we add that? I think a Gridcoin is great because they're going after the BOINC community, and that's awesome. It's very hard to merge the two because then it would be like, well, how many people are on BOINC? How many people are on Folding at Home? How do you distribute the FoldingCoin between the two? And then also, when you go to BOINC, you have to break it down to, well, which program's more beneficial to humanity? If let's say 30% of our folders are on SETI and they get 30% of the rewards, that might not seem fair to other people who don't really care to find aliens. Other people are like, well, it's more important to find cancer. So there comes into all kinds of problems. So I don't foresee it in the future. But who knows? Things change all the time in this space. But as of now, we're moving forward, just working on the Stanford platform. And Gridcoin, I think they're probably just going to stay on the BOINC. I don't ever see them intersecting.
Oh, that's cool. Like in the future, you guys could easily, I guess, take your platform and clone it, and then say this is now SETI coin or BOINC coin.
And for anybody listening who's interested in the BOINC platform, if you do, everything we do is open source. You want to take our code and you want to apply it to BOINC, I have secured every counterparty asset name that has to do with BOINC. I have SETI, I have World Community Grid, I have BOINC, I have all of them. So if you are legitimately interested in forking our code, applying it to BOINC, please get in contact with me. If you seem like you're serious, I have no problem handing the asset over to you. So I'm safeguarding them right now.
Very cool. No, it's good to know that you're very forward thinking. Any questions from our guys in the live audience there for any of our three guests?
Yeah, I've got a question. Can you hear me all right?
Yep. Yeah, you sound good.
So my question is for the Genesis guys. So I kind of like the idea of trying to make assets in a game be bearer assets, meaning that they're assets based on a private key that is held by the user and only the user can spend it. But that's kind of been a problem for Bitcoin because users generally aren't very good at handling their private keys, and if they lose it, the asset's gone. So I'm wondering if the Genesis guys have done anything to make it easier to handle private keys, or like what is the user interface to manage the private keys for these counterparty assets?
A very good question. To start off, one of the things that was on our pipe and still is the physical cards, IDO pass cards that we want to build in the future to help people have, in a way, multi-sig of their key, and being able to retrieve the key if they forget the password, the encryption key, or if they lose something. So this is a very, very important topic we are working on right now. It's very early, so right now we don't have much done in that sense. But for the coming development, we are really putting the focus to ease out the entry barrier to blockchain, and that's very critical. And one of the steps that we're doing is the Book of Orbs that we released with Indie Square team and together with Chris, is a way, it's a wallet on mobile where you can manage your Bitcoin and your game asset in a simpler way. So it looks really easy to use. So I invite you to look for Book of Orbs in the app stores. And this is one step to ease out the use of blockchain, securing the private key. There is still a lot of things to do, and that's the future plan and development that we're working on.
So if I can jump in, I think so. A lot of the counterparty wallets use like the passphrase. So you'll have 12 words that you have to write down the 12 words, and that's the seed to regenerate all your private keys. We're also in trying to get into talks with people like Trezor and KeepKey to see if we can integrate, because counterparty is based on the Bitcoin protocol, so there's no reason why you can't store these assets on your Trezor or your hardware wallet. So I think that's going to come, and that's going to make it even more secure.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I saw that there was a key and some discussion, or there was a card on Spells of Genesis for Trezor, and some discussion. But it seems like they're adding a lot more, I guess, compatibility, not just with Bitcoin and Litecoin, but also like other like coins, like I guess Ethereum had a little bit of development for them. Shaban, is there
also some of these tokens and Spells of Genesis cards can be worth quite a lot? So there's going to be, once they become more popular, users are going to be fished or scammed. So it's
yeah, you could easily make a paper wallet, at least right now. So Shaban, do you guys have a card for Ethereum right now, or?
Yes, if you're talking about the character Ethereum, there is a Ethereum card. It's not on Ethereum network, but still on Counterparty, but it represents Ethereum, of course. We do have one.
Well, I think I found a second Ethereum card you can have. The rarest Pokemon of all. You got to get a Vitachu. Really good for the platform. I think it would be a very good ode to the story of Ethereum as well. But yeah, I saw you have a Satoshi Light too. That's a good card.
Yeah, I was discussing with Bobby Lee just recently. I met him here in Tokyo, and yeah, Satoshi Light Card is also very valuable, and it's very interesting to have this second coin that came out and have been big, such as Litecoin.
So what is your favorite card then?
My favorites, I will say visually, I like Satoshi card because it's so emblematic. I like the DAO card. I really like the visual of it. I like talking about visual. I like the Shaame card. It's very nice, a dragon. I like the folding card, as Robert said, what's the very first blockchain card that we issued, and in partnership with a FoldingCoin, since we thought that's an amazing project, and we want to have something that symbolized. I like Doge card, since you show it as well.
I imagine that's the basement there, their favorite card. I know Cameron is a big fan of Doge, and we'll be trying to attire cards very soon. Any more questions from the basement there?
Sure. I have a question for the folding coins guys. So if I understand it correctly, they're like using the proof of folding to issue these folding coins, and they're distributed out like if you've shown that you've done some folding. Can you talk a little bit about how you validate that real folding has gone on?
Sure. Alex, are you able to display my screen? Are you able to do that?
No. No. There's a little green button on the left. I don't know.
There it is right there. And let's see. All right, does everybody see my screen right here?
Yep.
All right, so you see all these stats? Okay, so I'll go over that real quick. This is the Stanford's direct site. And if you go to, let's say, their team and statistics, you can actually pull up and look at all the donor statistics right here. So just clicking the donor statistics, it takes it a little bit to load because it's a pretty big text file. But while that's loading, I'll show you where you can find it down here. So here it is right here. So this is every single donor that Stanford collaborates. Okay, so here's the amount of credits they've had throughout all time. Here's their total. These right here, this total right here, work units, these are the amount of folds that this person has done. So as you can see, this guy, PS3, that's actually a collective one, but we'll use War then, for example. War has done a lot of credits, a lot of folds, and he's a part of this team. Now, obviously, this is a terrible statistic page to go through. So what Stanford allows you to do is down here, directly from their site, they allow you to download these text files, and you can download them. Yeah, I'm sorry?
But the question was how do you validate that they actually did that folding? Like why?
Right.
He's at the top of the list, sure, but
right. So
would you be faking it?
Right. So I have to first explain that we can download Stanford stats directly, and then how you can actually validate it is if we go to all user list here, you can see like this person right here. Do you see how they have that Bitcoin address in their name? So within our code, we go through all of the stats that have been pulled from Stanford, and we look for anybody with a Bitcoin address, and we tie it to the amount of points that they got that day. You can actually see it here. Here's the 12th we have right here. This was our calculation from the 12th, and you'll see these are all the addresses of the folders. And so we pull the stats from Stanford, look for anybody with a Bitcoin address in their name, calculate how many points they had, add that all up together, and then that's how we find it. Does that answer your question pretty well?
So you're saying you're relying on Stanford to do
yes.
Confirmation of if they have
that is correct.
That there's a crypto coin being issued on because that's a high security thing now.
Right. So the reason why it doesn't, the reason why Stanford doesn't have an issue, because we've talked to them about this many times, because we're not in any way, shape, or form getting into their system. Alls we are is looking for their public information of usernames, and we're looking for that Bitcoin address. That's why, going back earlier, we chose to have people add a Bitcoin address to their username, because we're not allowed to infiltrate into their system and pull their stats and see who is who. We have to validate them another way. So as long as they put a Bitcoin address in their name, our code takes their name, because going back to sharing my screen, let's see, I'll show you exactly. Let's see. So using this person, for example, okay, TGU skill. What our code does is it says, okay, we're looking for FLDC underscore, and then anything that has an FLDC underscore, it needs to be followed by a Bitcoin address. And then in our code, it validates if this is a valid Bitcoin address. And if it's a valid Bitcoin address, that's how we authenticate that user. So even if somebody else is folding on, let's say, this guy's Bitcoin address, that doesn't matter, because then he's going to get the rewards. So you have to fold on your own Bitcoin address. Otherwise, like if you decide, haha, I'm going to fold on TGU skills username, well, the joke will be on you, because we're going to send the rewards to this Bitcoin address for the work that is done under this Bitcoin address.
I think you misunderstand. What I mean is people pretending they performed work to the Stanford server.
Oh, okay.
Not actually doing that work. Like, how is the validation done? Like,
so that is out of our hands. That has to be validated by Stanford. They haven't had an issue, I think, since 2008 when they introduced something called a passkey.
But there hasn't been a financial incentive to attack their servers.
I'm sorry?
You think that you're like introducing a financial incentive to attack the Stanford FoldingCoin?
I don't think so. I mean, possibly, but I mean, they haven't sent us a cease and desist. They don't really care what we're doing, because we're not doing anything out of their terms and condition. We're just simply applying a cryptocurrency project to it. I mean, they've been developing it for 16 years and they haven't had any major issues. I doubt anybody would attack it anytime soon. But if that does happen, I honestly don't know what would happen after that.
I do have one more question. Can I keep going, sir?
Yeah, go for it.
So for the Genesis guys, it's kind of been shown that Bitcoin is going to be kind of considered a settlement layer. And a lot of the core developers predict that the price of settling directly on the Bitcoin blockchain is going to go up a lot in the future. Like, how, as your assets are being traded as counterparty Bitcoin assets, like, at what point does it not make sense to use the Bitcoin blockchain in terms of fees? Like, if the fee gets to $1, to $5, to $10, like, when does it no longer make sense to settle on it?
That's of course a big debate and a big problem. For now, the cards you get on the blockchain are pretty much valuable. So it's usually, I will say, around $5 to $10 a transfer a card. In a sense, it's not too bad to have a little fee, because this way players don't do like automated bots that gives the same cards to multiple player like every 10 minutes or something. The fees increasing, of course, is a problem. It's a problem for us. It's a problem for everyone, actually. So it's not only our problem. We are counting on people to find consensus on the block size or on whatever it will take in order to keep the fee reasonable, because it's also one of the core value of the Bitcoin is to transfer something of value for almost nothing comparing to the credit card or the bank fees. If this rules breaks, then we'll have to find another solution, but it will be very bad for Bitcoin in general. So I will say that's a problem, but it's a problem for everyone. From Spells of Genesis use case, we are using Bitcoin because it's the most easy, the most effective way as today. if that would have to change, we could migrate in whatever system will be better for our users.
Yeah, can I jump in here? I think it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen at the moment. It's something we think about. Obviously, there's the introduction of payment channels might be a game changer. How Counterparty could or will use payment channels might solve the problem. Another thing is that for the most part, in order to use, I think sending an asset like an SOG card, sending it once, you have to pay a fee. But to use that in Spells of Genesis, you don't send it each time you use it as a power-up. So once you've got the card, it really doesn't have to move. It's only when you're trading or sending it. So from that respect, there's no traffic or there's no fee involved there.
Yeah, so it's a problem maybe for micropayments, but for like a $500 Satoshi card or however much it's worth, I don't think you're going to be too concerned about the fees as long as it settles properly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But I think for counterparty tokens in general, it might change things. It might change how counterparty tokens could be used. Like you said, they would move less from sending micropayments or games making their own coin that you spend to more like bigger assets, items that you don't mind paying a high fee for and settling. But I think we're still not sure which way it will go. And there's I know StorageCoin. I think StorageCoin have been playing with counterparty payment channels and things like this. So it's really hard to say at the moment, I think.
Yeah, so we're confident something will emerge to solve that.
Yeah, Storage actually had them on the show, I think 2 weeks ago. Check it out in the channel below. Make sure you like and subscribe. You won't miss it next time. But they're playing around with payment channels in order to do microtransactions with colored Bitcoins. So I think that's kind of like a hub and spoke sort of strategy. I forget the technicals now, but there's definitely some innovation going on. Whether or not Lightning has an effect on it, I think I'm not sure if Lightning will affect counterparty tokens in a beneficiary way. Be interesting to see. We'll have Trevor on the show later on, and he can explain it to us further.
Also, yeah, I think there's also there is talk. I know that Bitcoin.com are really trying to set up as an alternative to Core. So, and from what I understand, they are hoping for a hard fork and hoping to push Bitcoin Unlimited. So that we'll see how the market reacts to that. So yeah, Bitcoin's an ever-changing space, so it's hard to make predictions.
I got another idea for a card for you. You guys know how Roger Ver is described as Bitcoin Jesus. I think you should make a Bitcoin Moses card and then have him splitting the Bitcoin. I think that would be.
I had an idea of getting Andreas Antonopoulos as some sort of Greek, kind of mystic Greek philosopher type, Plato or something. Antonopoulos, the elder.
Yeah,
that could be cool, actually.
I'm not sure with people you have to get their permission. I'm sure it's a bit more complicated, maybe.
Yeah, we find a way.
Nice.
It's all on the blockchain. You don't need permission. Cease and desist that. So, Christian, do you have any further games planned, or are you continuing development on the two that you already have made here, the Saratobi?
So at the moment, my focus is on really two things. Takara, the geocaching. So at the moment, it's only on iPhone, so working on the Android build. And we're hoping to kind of work with other game developers. Like, actually, myself, a company called Indie Square, and Shaban are working on a project which will make it easier for other game developers to create games with blockchain game items. I think rather than making individual games, make it easier for everybody else to make games, and that way it helps the economy together. And the more games that use counterparty blockchain, the more enriched each game will be, because you can technically share those game items. So you can use Spells of Genesis cards in Saratobi, but somebody might make a really cool RPG which also lets you use Spells of Genesis cards, and vice versa. And you can use your folding coins in the game, for example, and earn a bit of folding protein and use that in a game, or get some folding coins by killing a monster in a game. It's going to be really cool going forward. I think at the moment it's all about getting as many cool projects going that can all work together.
And I think that's maybe why we've seen a recent value increase in Counterparty. Like, we're seeing the value of the platform. I know I'm really excited to hear more from Trevor, but the other company I want to hear more from is Omni, because they have a very similar platform. Do any of you guys kind of know what the main difference is between Omni and Counterparty is?
Personally, no, I have heard of Omni because we were going to use the word Omni for a project, and they had already taken it. So I think that's I'm not sure.
Big difference between colored coins and Counterparty. I don't know the big difference between Omni and Counterparty. I think they're fairly similar.
Yeah, the news that I have, because I talked a lot with Craig Seller from Omni, are pretty old, so I don't want to say wrong thing here. But at the time there was no decentralized exchange on Omni. They told me they are working on it, so probably they have it by now. So it's pretty similar.
Now, I guess as we're getting to the end of the show here, maybe you could tell us a bit more about the field of Genesis and these orbs that everyone keeps talking about.
Sure. So the long-term goal for everyone doing games on blockchain is to acquire mainstream users, to ease the entry barrier, to make it easy for game developer to issue their assets and manage their assets as a game creator. So that's what we're working on right now at EDS and Indie Square, is all this book of orbs, like lower the entry barrier from the developer and the user point of view. We definitely think it's gonna be big. So we are just, all the games in the future will have to use the blockchain, because in 5 years, nobody will want to pay money for something they don't own. Right now, people are okay to pay their music on iTunes at the price of physical CD without owning the full rights on it. But since now the technology allows it, people will definitely want to own what they purchase. So that's the whole thing about the Book of Orbs, is giving this empowerment to game developers. And we believe that in a few years, it will be normal to use that kind of system, and we want to pioneer in that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I got a friend who's got a serious addiction with buying weapons and like safes on Counter-Strike. Yeah, Counter-Strike. And he spends a lot of money trying to get a knife, and like that's all he wants is just say, "Oh, I got to get this knife."
Yeah. Also, like, I used to be quite a big gamer, and I do like games, but I think a lot of people feel this way. You put a lot of effort into your time and value, and sure, there's entertainment you get from that, but you could spend days unlocking something, and then a few weeks after you finish playing the game, all that value's gone. So I think we're not saying that every game has to be a blockchain game, and not every blockchain game has to be 100% blockchain game assets. So I think what we'd like to see is like games that are normal great games standalone, enriched with blockchain game items. Like Spells of Genesis, most of the cards are not blockchain game items. They have, some of them are, but it just gives extra value to the player that after they've actually spent time and put effort into a game, they've got something real that won't disappear, something that has value that they can then trade, they can keep, they can use in another game. I kind of like to think maybe in like 50 years, there'll be a grandfather will show his grandson a private key that has a Satoshi card on, right? And lost and rare secret Satoshi card, things like that. So I think it's going to be pretty cool going forward. And I think no other big gaming company has really noticed this or thought about this. I went to Tokyo Game Show the other day, and all the game companies are just looking at VR, 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 which is great. But I think we've really got a good chance to do something new and cool. It's a bit kind of difficult for mainstream users to get their head around at the moment, but as the industry matures, I think they're really going to start to come on board, and normal gamers will really like the idea.
Well, I think it'll be like really paradigm shifting if, say, like the gold you earn in WoW can be transferred to the next version of World of Warcraft. So like that sort of mentality or planning in games could be commonplace because of the work you guys are doing. So I think, to change that standard of ownership would be very interesting.
I think one problem we might run into is at the moment, I think there's going to be a bit of pushback from the industry. I know that, for example, Apple probably won't like the idea, and then once game items have value, there'll be people, they'll try to be regulated, and so it's going to be a challenge going forward. But there's no reason why, like, if you do a sport or you're a musician and you buy a guitar, you can play that guitar in any song in any band. No one's not going to try to regulate you on that. But I don't see why digital assets should be any different. If you own a sword in one game, that's your sword, and it's not Apple's, it's not World of Warcraft's, it's yours. And
well, they had issues. Isn't that along what you're talking about? They had issues with World of Warcraft and Second Life and Counter-Strike. All those people found ways to sell items outside of the game. But was it mostly like tax issues, which was the reason why it caused so much controversy?
Yeah. I think they were centralized as well. So thing about Bitcoin, it's decentralized. So it's
right.
That's the whole point of it. Otherwise, I think companies are trying to do this with a more centralized approach. There's a few startups that I've talked to. We're trying to do the same thing, some sort of marketplace for all gamers to use their game items, but it's really slow for them because they have to go through the regulation, and it's difficult. It's not open.
The main problem about centralized system is the fact, for example, in Munga, our previous game, we have free exchange in-game and with the game currency, and some player exchanges the card for real money on the table, and they do a very small in-game currency transfer. The problem with that is our server are considered as bank if we authorize transfer for real money, because meaning that our database holds the card data or the game data, and people put money in and out. So it's a bit like the game developers acting as a bank, like holding people's assets. And that's a problem. With blockchain, we decentralize that. So we are not holding no one's value. Everyone is holding his own asset on his own. So he's free to transact, and we're not liable of holding people's value.
I think the solution is just to go full circle and have these cards traded on Mt. Gox. So, like, just have all the cards listed there. Have Carpellis boot it back up and have his trading algo that he wrote originally to trade Magic the Gathering cards, and have them trade Spells of Genesis cards, and then that will be the perfect future for us.
Gox 2 though.
Well, he's out now, so I think it will be perfect for him to get back to work and work on the. I think he's got to add Litecoin first.
he's living down the road from where Shaban is now, actually, so he can probably pop over, knock on his door, have a coffee with him.
Yeah, I think you need to make a Carpellis card. I don't know if it could be, rather than a character card, it could be maybe like
one,
a
actually.
card. Oh, there is.
There is actually. There's a card. I'll show you my screen. It's one of my favorite cards. It's a Spells of Genesis card, and when Mt. Gox was hacked, there was that picture of the person, where is our money? I'm not sure if you can see the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
The Spells of Genesis card is pretty much the same, but it's a goblin, and Compellis is holding like a golden goblet full of wine or something instead of a Starbucks.
Oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah, they need to make a graphic novel or something.
Yeah, no, there'll be an interesting book one day on the history of all the Spells of Genesis cards, and yeah, I think you guys have cataloged a lot of the interesting things that have happened in this space. So I don't know if we have any further questions from the guys in the basement there. I think you guys are setting up smoke alarms, though. Silence. All right, well, we'll wrap up the show with we predict the Bitcoin price in 1 week's time. So on next Friday or on next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, what do you guys think the Bitcoin price will be? We're currently at $602 on Bitstamp. I'll start with Shaban.
Okay. I will say 612. 15.
615.
615.
All right, now Robert, what do you think?
I'm so bad at guessing the price, so I'll just go on a limb and say $5,000. I could be optimistic, right? I could be a little optimistic.
Not too far out there. We've been getting a lot of 4-digit guesses on the show recently, so I think people are getting far more optimistic. Make sure to spell your name right now, Christian, because I think I have it wrong in the title on YouTube. But
no worries. Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think that the end of this year there could be a nice increase. So I'm going to say it's next week, right? You said.
Yep, just in a week's time, 7 days.
Maybe I'll go for 620 then.
620. Everyone's feeling bullish. I'm gonna say I undercut. I'm gonna say 599. More bearish. Anyone in the basement there? You guys got your audio figured out? Any guesses? Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't hear you guys. It doesn't look like you're muted.
We should be good now.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
$1,234.56.
$1,234 and sorry, what?
56 cents.
Oh, I see what you're doing now. Okay. Taylor, you got a guess?
638.
638.
Very bullish.
Craig, sitting beside me here, do you have a guess?
$1, Bob.
That's $1. Craig, come on down.
It's going to be worth 10,000 bit crystals.
Let's see. Cam, do you have a guess?
420.
That's nice to meet you.
Nice.
That's a good guess.
David, do you have a guess?
610.
And now, anyone else in there that I didn't call out? Kiko, I think you're there too.
I'll take 611.
611. Sorry, who was that?
Russell.
Perfect. That's a pretty good spread there, guys. I'll do this chart up, and we'll see who's the lucky one in a week's time. All right. Well, we thank you all for coming on the show. Shaban, Rob, have been doing fantastic work. You're definitely bringing far more people into the Bitcoin space than I think even I am. I try and convince Craig every week, but he's not having it. So I'm still at zero. But no, it's really good. I encourage everyone to download, go to MandelDuck.com and check out any of the games, because I'm sure there'll be multiple games that you can play. Get a little bit of bit crystals or FoldingCoin or
Playing the
Bitcoin assets. There's tons you can win. Sorry, what are you playing? Did you find something, Cameron?
I'm playing the monkey game.
Oh, nice.
Toby.
Sarah Toby. All right. Yeah, that'll be the one to set the high score on, guys. And we look forward to future developments, guys, and maybe having you on a future show. Thanks again.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
And everyone at home, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow block_talk, and check it out. We'll have lots of cool interviews. Monday, we have a cloud mining pool for Zero Cash coming on to, I guess, pitch their, see how cool that is. And we'll ask some questions on Zero Cash. It'll be really interesting to see. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have some blocks.